October 12, 2023, 7:43 p.m. Security cameras in the lobby of Riverside Gardens apartment complex in Columbus, Ohio, capture a woman entering through the main doors. Her name is Taylor Sinclair, 26 years old. She's wearing navy blue scrubs. Her brown hair is pulled back in a ponytail. She's carrying 2 canvas grocery bags in one hand, a worn leather messenger bag over her shoulder. She walks across the lobby toward the elevator bank. Looks tired, but not unusual. Just another resident coming home after work. She presses the elevator call button, waits, checks her phone briefly while waiting. The elevator arrives, doors open. She steps inside. The lobby camera loses sight of her as the elevator doors close. Third-floor hallway camera picks her up at 7:47 p.m. Taylor exits the elevator, turns right down the corridor, walking toward her apartment, Unit 3G. She's still carrying her grocery bags, still has her messenger bag over her shoulder. She reaches her door, sets the grocery bags on the floor, reaches into her messenger bag, pulls out her keys, unlocks the deadbolt, unlocks the handle, opens her door, picks up her grocery bags, steps inside her apartment. The door closes behind her. The timestamp reads 7:48 p.m. That is the last time Taylor Sinclair is seen alive on any surveillance system in the building. Within 12 hours, her mother would be calling police to report her missing. Within 3 days, investigators would realize Taylor never left her apartment that night. And within 2 weeks, they would discover that the man who lived directly across the hall in Unit 3H had been watching Taylor for months, recording her, documenting her routine, planning something that would be executed with chilling precision inside what should have been the safety of her own home. This is the story of Taylor Sinclair, how she disappeared from a locked apartment, how investigators pieced together what happened through security footage, digital evidence, and the disturbing contents of a neighbor's apartment, and how a young woman doing everything right still became a victim because someone with access to her building decided she was a target. Taylor Marie Sinclair was born in Cincinnati, Ohio in 1997. She was the middle child of 3 siblings. Her father worked as an accountant. Her mother was an elementary school teacher. They were a close family, supportive, loving. Taylor was a good student, participated in volleyball, made honor roll, had a solid group of friends. She graduated from high school in 2015, attended Columbus State Community College, studied healthcare administration. She'd always been interested in the medical field but didn't want to work directly with patients. Preferred the administrative side, the organization, the systems that made healthcare run smoothly. She graduated in 2017 with her associate degree, got a job at Columbus Regional Hospital as a medical billing coordinator, entry-level position, but she was ambitious, wanted to advance, started taking online courses toward her medical coding certification. That certification would open doors, better positions, better pay. She was working toward it steadily. In 2021, Taylor moved into Riverside Gardens apartments, 1-bedroom unit, 3rd floor, apartment 3G. The complex was nice, modern building, built in 2018, secure entry, cameras in lobby and hallways, on-site management, fitness center, parking garage. She felt safe there, felt like she'd found a good place to live while she built her career. Taylor was responsible, paid her rent on time, kept her apartment clean, didn't cause problems. Building management considered her a model tenant. Neighbors rarely saw her, but when they did, she was friendly, polite, kept to herself mostly. She worked Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the hospital, sometimes stayed late to finish projects. Then she'd come home, make dinner, study for her certification exam, talk to her parents or siblings on the phone, watch Netflix. Normal routine for a 26-year-old woman living alone and working full-time. She was dating someone casually, a guy named Eric she'd met through a friend. They'd gone on maybe 6 or 7 dates over 2 months. Nothing serious yet, just getting to know each other. Eric worked in IT, lived across town. They'd text during the week, see each other on weekends sometimes. Taylor's life was stable, predictable, safe. She had routines, work, home, grocery store on Thursdays after work, gym on Tuesday and Saturday mornings, brunch with her sister on Sundays. She was building a good life, making progress toward her goals. Everything was going according to plan. October 12, 2023 was a Thursday, Taylor's grocery shopping day. She worked her normal shift at the hospital, 8 to 5, left on time, stopped at Whole Foods on her way home, bought groceries for the next few days, pre-made salad for dinner that night, some fruits, yogurt, a bottle of wine, normal shopping trip. She texted her mother at 6:47 p.m. while checking out. Just leaving Whole Foods. Making salad for dinner tonight. Talk tomorrow. Love you. Her mother responded, "Sounds good, honey. Love you too." Taylor drove home, arrived at Riverside Gardens at 7:38 p.m., parked in the underground garage, walked to the elevator, took it up to the lobby level, walked across the lobby. This is where the lobby camera captured her at 7:43 p.m. She took the elevator to the 3rd floor, walked to her apartment, unlocked her door, went inside at 7:48 p.m. Everything captured on hallway cameras, everything normal, everything routine. What happened next was not captured on any camera, because it happened inside Taylor's apartment, behind her locked door, in the privacy of her own home where she should have been safe. October 13th, Friday morning. Taylor was scheduled to work at 8 a.m. She always arrived a few minutes early, punctual, reliable. When she didn't show up by 8:15 a.m., her supervisor called her cell phone. No answer. Called again at 8:30. No answer. Left a voicemail. "Taylor, this is Linda. Just checking if everything's okay. You're not here and haven't called. Give me a call back." By 9 a.m., Linda was concerned. This wasn't like Taylor. She always called if she was sick, always communicated. Linda called Taylor's emergency contact, her mother, Patricia Sinclair. Patricia answered. Said she'd just talked to Taylor last night. She'd been fine. Patricia tried calling Taylor's phone, straight to voicemail. Tried again. Same thing. Patricia started to worry. By 10 a.m., Patricia was in her car driving to Taylor's apartment, 45-minute drive from her house in Cincinnati. She called Taylor repeatedly during the drive. No answer. She called Eric, Taylor's boyfriend, asked if he'd heard from Taylor. He said no. They'd texted Wednesday night. Everything had seemed normal. He tried calling Taylor too. No answer. Patricia arrived at Riverside Gardens at 10:52 a.m., went to the lobby, told the front desk her daughter lived in 3G and wasn't answering her phone. Missed work. This wasn't like her. Could someone check on her? The building manager, Carol Hughes, agreed, accompanied Patricia to the 3rd floor. They knocked on 3G. No answer. Knocked again. Called out. "Taylor, it's Carol from management. Your mom is here. Are you okay?" No response. Carol used her master key, unlocked the door, opened it cautiously. "Taylor, we're coming in. Just checking on you." They entered the apartment. The apartment was empty, but not ransacked, not disturbed. Everything looked normal, orderly. The grocery bags from Whole Foods were on the kitchen counter, salad still in the container, wine bottle unopened. Taylor's messenger bag was on the couch. Her keys were on the small table by the door where she always put them. But no Taylor. Patricia checked the bedroom, bathroom, bedroom closet. Nothing. Taylor's bed was made. Hadn't been slept in. Her pajamas were folded on her pillow where she always left them. Patricia checked Taylor's messenger bag, found her wallet, her credit cards, her work badge. Her phone was not there. That was something. Maybe she had her phone. Maybe she could be reached. But Patricia had been calling that phone all morning. It went straight to voicemail, either turned off or dead battery, or destroyed. Carol called building security. They reviewed the hallway cameras, showed Taylor entering her apartment at 7:48 p.m. on Thursday, then showed the hallway through the night. No one came out of 3G. No one entered. The door remained closed all night. Morning footage showed the same. Door stayed closed. No Taylor exiting, no one entering, just a closed door. So where was Taylor? She'd gone into her apartment, never came out. But she wasn't inside now. Her apartment was empty. Patricia called 911, reported her daughter missing. Officers responded, took a report, searched the apartment more thoroughly, found no signs of struggle, no blood, no indication of violence. Just an empty apartment with groceries on the counter and a made bed. Police started their investigation, pinged Taylor's cell phone. Last location was at Riverside Gardens. Signal had been active until approximately 8:15 p.m. Thursday night, then went offline, either powered off, battery dead, or destroyed. They pulled all security camera footage from the building, lobby, hallways, parking garage, exits, looking for any sign of Taylor leaving, looking for anyone entering her apartment, looking for anything that explained where she went. Lobby cameras showed residents coming and going Thursday evening. Normal traffic. No one suspicious. No one paying unusual attention to Taylor when she arrived. Third-floor hallway cameras showed Taylor entering 3G at 7:48 p.m. Showed the hallway through the night. At 8:42 p.m., a man exited apartment 3H, the unit directly across from Taylor's. He walked to the elevator, left the building, returned at 9:17 p.m., went back into 3H. Nothing unusual, just a resident leaving and returning. At 11:23 p.m., the same man exited 3H again, this time carrying a large suitcase. Rolling suitcase, the kind used for travel. He took the elevator down, exited through the lobby, walked to the parking garage. Cameras showed him loading the suitcase into the trunk of a Honda Accord. He drove away, left the building. He returned at 12:41 a.m., Friday morning, parked, came back up to his apartment, no longer had the suitcase. Detectives noted this. Man living across from Taylor left his apartment twice Thursday night, once empty-handed, once with a large suitcase. What was in that suitcase? Where did he take it? They identified the resident of 3H. His name was Kevin Marsh, 34 years old, worked as an IT specialist for a financial services company, lived alone, had been a resident of Riverside Gardens for 2 years, 1 year longer than Taylor. Detectives knocked on Kevin's door Friday afternoon. He answered. They introduced themselves, explained they were investigating a missing persons case. Taylor Sinclair from 3G. Had he seen or heard anything unusual last night? Kevin said no. He'd been home most of the evening. Went out briefly around 8:45 to get dinner. Came back, watched TV, went to bed around midnight. Hadn't heard anything from across the hall. Didn't really know Taylor well. Just nodded hello in passing sometimes. Detectives asked about the suitcase. Why had he left with a suitcase at 11:23 p.m.? Kevin explained. He'd been planning to visit his parents in Cleveland this weekend. He'd packed his suitcase earlier. Realized he'd left some work files at his office. Took the suitcase to his car so he wouldn't forget it in the morning. Planned to stop by his office before driving to Cleveland. Detectives asked if they could come in. Look around. Kevin hesitated. Said he didn't think he had to let them in without a warrant. Detectives said that was his right. But if he had nothing to hide, cooperation would be appreciated. Kevin said he wanted to talk to a lawyer first. Detectives thanked him, left their card, told him to call if he thought of anything. That response made detectives suspicious. Kevin was being defensive, uncooperative. Why? If he had nothing to do with Taylor's disappearance, why not let them look around? Why lawyer up immediately? Detectives obtained a search warrant for Kevin Marsh's apartment, executed it Saturday morning. What they found inside 3H was deeply disturbing. In Kevin's bedroom, mounted on a tripod near his window, was a camera. High definition, expensive, aimed directly at Taylor's door across the hallway. The camera was connected to Kevin's computer. Recording software showed it had been recording for months, saving footage automatically. Thousands of hours of footage of Taylor's door. Every time Taylor left her apartment, every time she came home, the camera captured it, time-stamped, organized by date. Kevin had been surveilling Taylor, documenting her routine, learning her schedule, knowing exactly when she came and went. Detectives also found something else. In Kevin's closet, behind his clothes, a small collection of items, women's items, a hair tie, a coffee mug, a scarf, items that didn't belong to Kevin, items taken from somewhere or someone. They also found photos on Kevin's computer, photos of Taylor, taken from a distance, at the grocery store, at the gym, walking to her car. Kevin hadn't just been watching her through the hallway camera. He'd been following her, photographing her, stalking her. Before we continue with what happened to Taylor and how investigators pieced together the evidence, if cases like this matter to you, make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell. We cover real investigations showing how evidence reveals truth. Hit like if you think Taylor's story deserves justice. Comment your thoughts. Because what detectives found next in Kevin's apartment revealed this wasn't just surveillance. It was preparation for something far worse. Detectives also found detailed notes, handwritten, in a notebook in Kevin's desk. Notes about Taylor, her work schedule, when she typically left for work, when she came home, when she went to the gym, when she did grocery shopping. Everything documented meticulously. There were also notes about the building itself, security camera blind spots, which areas weren't covered, service corridors, maintenance access. Kevin had studied the building's security system, identified its weaknesses. Most disturbing were notes about Taylor's apartment layout. Kevin had somehow obtained or reconstructed the floor plan, knew where her bedroom was, where her bathroom was, kitchen, living room. How could he know that unless he'd been inside or studied the building's architectural plans? Detectives arrested Kevin Marsh on suspicion of kidnapping, brought him in for questioning. Kevin's attorney advised him to remain silent. Kevin said nothing, provided no explanation for the camera, the photos, the notes, the surveillance equipment. Detectives had evidence Kevin was stalking Taylor. But where was Taylor? What had happened to her? Kevin's apartment didn't contain any signs of violence. No blood, no weapons, no indication Taylor had been harmed there. Detectives refocused on the suitcase. Kevin had left the building at 11:23 p.m. with a large suitcase, drove somewhere, returned without it. Where did he go? What was in that suitcase? They pulled traffic camera footage, tracked Kevin's Honda Accord leaving Riverside Gardens at 11:26 p.m., followed its route through various intersections, lost it after about 2 miles. Not enough camera coverage to track the entire route. They pulled Kevin's phone GPS data, showed he'd driven to an area southeast of the city, near Hoover Reservoir, a large body of water surrounded by wooded areas and parks. GPS showed he'd been there from approximately 11:40 p.m. to 12:10 a.m., 30 minutes, then drove back to his apartment. Detectives contacted park rangers and law enforcement agencies with jurisdiction over Hoover Reservoir. Organized search teams focused on areas near where Kevin's GPS placed him, looking for anything. The suitcase, evidence, Taylor. On October 17th, 5 days after Taylor's disappearance, a search team found something in a wooded area near the reservoir access road, partially covered by leaves and brush. A large rolling suitcase, black, matching the description from the security footage. The suitcase was opened carefully on scene. Inside, investigators found clothing, women's clothing, navy blue scrubs, Taylor's scrubs. Also found was Taylor's cell phone, smashed, battery removed, SIM card missing. But no Taylor, just her clothing and phone, dumped in a suitcase, hidden in the woods. What did this mean? Where was Taylor? Search teams expanded their perimeter, brought in cadaver dogs, searched the wooded areas more thoroughly, searched along the reservoir shoreline, looked for any sign of Taylor, any indication of what Kevin had done with her. Days passed. Searches continued. Nothing. No trace of Taylor beyond the suitcase with her clothing. Then on October 23rd, 11 days after her disappearance, a fisherman on the reservoir noticed something unusual near the shore, partially submerged, caught in vegetation near a small inlet. He called authorities. Dive teams were dispatched. They recovered what the fisherman had seen. It was Taylor Sinclair. She'd been deceased for approximately 11 days based on environmental factors and decomposition. The medical examiner determined cause of death as asphyxiation and blunt force trauma. She'd been attacked, killed, then weighted down and placed in the reservoir. The discovery devastated everyone. Her family, her friends, Eric, her co-workers, everyone who'd hoped she'd be found alive. That hope was gone. Now the investigation shifted from missing person to homicide. Kevin Marsh was already in custody on kidnapping charges. Now he faced murder charges. Prosecutors built their case. Security footage showing Kevin leaving with the suitcase. GPS data placing him at the reservoir. The suitcase containing Taylor's clothing found near where her body was recovered. The surveillance equipment in his apartment. The stalking behavior, the photos, the notes. Everything pointed to Kevin. But one question remained. How did Kevin get Taylor out of her apartment? Hallway cameras showed her entering at 7:48 p.m., showed Kevin leaving at 8:42 p.m., empty-handed, then leaving again at 11:23 p.m. with the suitcase. So between 8:42 p.m. and 11:23 p.m., something happened to Taylor inside her apartment. Kevin must have entered somehow. But how? The hallway cameras never showed him entering 3G. Detectives returned to the building, examined the layout more carefully. discovered something. There was a maintenance corridor, ran behind the apartments on the third floor, provided access to plumbing and electrical systems, had doors that opened into each apartment for emergency access. Those doors were typically kept locked from inside, but could be opened from the corridor if someone had access. Building maintenance records showed Kevin had requested maintenance service to his apartment multiple times over the past year. Various issues, some legitimate, some questionable. Each time, maintenance workers came with their master keys, accessed the corridor. Kevin had watched, learned, understood how the access worked. Detectives theorized Kevin had obtained or made a copy of the maintenance access key, used it to enter the corridor, accessed Taylor's apartment through the maintenance door. He wouldn't have been visible on hallway cameras because he never used the main door. They found evidence supporting this. Inside Kevin's apartment, hidden in his desk, was a key, unmarked. Testing showed it fit the maintenance corridor doors. He had a key. He had access. He could enter Taylor's apartment without being seen on the hallway cameras. So the timeline became clearer. Taylor entered her apartment at 7:48 p.m. Kevin waited, left his apartment at 8:42 p.m. through the main door, went downstairs, re-entered the building through the maintenance corridor entrance in the parking garage, an area not covered by cameras, used the corridor to access Taylor's apartment through the maintenance door, attacked her, killed her, spent the next 2.5 hours doing what prosecutors would describe as staging and preparing for disposal. At 11:23 p.m., Kevin left his apartment again through the main door, this time with the suitcase containing Taylor, drove to the reservoir, disposed of her body, returned the suitcase to the woods containing her clothes and phone, tried to make it look like she'd been abducted outside the building, tried to create a false trail away from himself. But the security cameras, the GPS data, the stalking evidence, the key, everything tied Kevin to the crime. Kevin's attorney tried to negotiate, offered to have Kevin reveal exactly what happened, in exchange for removing the death penalty from consideration. Prosecutors refused initially. The evidence was strong. They felt confident going to trial. Kevin went to trial in April 2024. Prosecutors presented overwhelming evidence: security footage, GPS data, the surveillance equipment, the photos, the notes, the key, forensic evidence linking Kevin to the suitcase, circumstantial evidence showing means, motive, and opportunity. The defense argued the evidence was circumstantial. No one saw Kevin enter Taylor's apartment. No one witnessed him attack her. No forensic evidence placed him inside her apartment. The prosecution couldn't prove he'd been there. But prosecutors countered, showed the maintenance corridor access, demonstrated how Kevin could have entered without being seen on cameras, presented the key, presented the stalking behavior showing obsession and planning, presented the GPS data showing him at the disposal site, presented the suitcase evidence. Taylor's family testified, described Taylor as a careful, responsible young woman, someone who locked her doors, someone who wouldn't let a stranger in, someone who'd been living her life normally until Kevin decided to target her. The jury deliberated for 8 hours. May 3, 2024, verdict returned. Kevin Marsh, guilty of first-degree murder, guilty of kidnapping, guilty of abuse of a corpse, guilty on all counts. Sentencing came 2 weeks later. The judge noted the premeditation, the stalking, the violation of Taylor's privacy and safety in her own home. Kevin Marsh was sentenced to life without possibility of parole for the murder. Additional consecutive sentences for kidnapping and abuse of a corpse. He'll die in prison. Kevin showed no emotion during sentencing, no remorse, no explanation, just silence. He's currently incarcerated at Ohio State Penitentiary, maximum security, segregated from general population. The case led to changes at Riverside Gardens and similar apartment complexes, enhanced security and maintenance corridors, additional cameras, better key control, requirement that maintenance corridor access be logged electronically, protocols for residents requesting unusual amounts of maintenance. Taylor's family established the Taylor Sinclair Safety Foundation, advocating for better apartment security, educating renters about their rights and what to look for in safe housing, providing resources for people experiencing stalking. Patricia Sinclair speaks publicly about Taylor, about her daughter's life, her dreams, her goals. Patricia talks about how Taylor thought she was safe, lived in a secure building, locked her doors, did everything right. But Kevin found a way in, found a vulnerability in the building's security, exploited it, killed her daughter. If this case affected you, hit that subscribe button, leave a comment, share your thoughts on apartment security and tenant safety. This channel covers real cases, real investigations, real victims who deserve justice and remembrance. Hit like if you think Taylor's story matters. Share if you think renters need to know about these risks. Kevin Marsh stalked Taylor for months, documented her routine, studied her apartment building, found a way to access her home without being seen, used his knowledge of the building's security system to avoid detection, then killed her, tried to dispose of evidence, tried to make it look like she'd disappeared somewhere else. He almost succeeded, if not for the security cameras showing him with the suitcase, if not for the GPS data placing him at the reservoir, if not for the surveillance equipment found in his apartment, he might have gotten away with it. But evidence doesn't lie. Technology reveals truth, and Kevin's careful planning couldn't account for every camera, every data point, every digital footprint. Taylor Sinclair was 26 years old, medical billing coordinator, studying for her certification, building a career, building a life. She was responsible, careful, did everything right, lived in a secure building, locked her doors, protected herself. But Kevin Marsh decided she was a target, decided her life was his to take, violated her privacy, her safety, her home, her life. Remember Taylor Sinclair. Remember that apartment security is only as strong as its weakest point. Remember that stalkers can be neighbors, can be people with legitimate access to buildings, can be watching without anyone noticing until it's too late. Thank you for watching, for caring, for learning from Taylor's story. If you live in an apartment, be aware of your surroundings. Notice who's around you. If someone pays too much attention, if you feel watched, trust your instincts. Report it to management, to police if necessary. Don't dismiss your concerns. Check your apartment's security. Are all access points monitored? Are keys properly controlled? Are maintenance corridors secured? Ask building management. Understand how your building operates. Because Taylor thought she was safe, thought her locked apartment was a sanctuary. It wasn't, because Kevin had found a way in. Apartment hallway cameras showed her returning home at 7:48 p.m. on October 12th. She was never seen again, because Kevin Marsh was watching, waiting, planning. And on that Thursday night, he executed a plan he'd been building for months. Justice was served. Kevin will die in prison, but Taylor is still gone. Her family still grieves. Her dreams still unfulfilled. Her life still stolen by someone who thought he had the right to take it. This was Taylor's story. This is why we tell it. This is why we remember. Never forget that predators can be anywhere, even in secure buildings, even across the hall, even someone you've nodded hello to dozens of times without ever suspecting danger. Stay aware, stay safe. Honor Taylor by learning from what happened to her, by protecting yourself and others, by demanding better security in apartment buildings, by never forgetting that safety requires vigilance. Taylor Sinclair, 26 years old, gone but never forgotten. Her story a warning, her memory a motivation for change, her life a reminder that we must protect the vulnerable and hold predators accountable. Kevin Marsh will never be free. That's justice, but Taylor will never come home. That's the tragedy we must never forget. This was her story. This is why apartment security matters. This is why we remember Taylor Sinclair. Thank you for watching, for caring, for honoring Taylor by learning from her story and staying vigilant in your own life. Remember Taylor. Remember that the hallway cameras showed her going home, but they didn't show what happened inside. Didn't show Kevin accessing her apartment through hidden corridors. Didn't prevent what he did. Technology helps, cameras help, but awareness, vigilance, community, those matter most. Stay safe out there. Honor Taylor. Remember her story. And never stop fighting for a world where young women can come home from work safely, where locked doors mean safety, where neighbors aren't predators. Taylor deserved better. We all do. That's why we remember. That's why we share these stories. That's why we fight for change. Rest in peace, Taylor Sinclair. Your story will save others. Your memory will protect those who come after you. Justice was served, and you will never be forgotten.